Welcome to our discussion of the day. We are going to talk about alcohols in relation to organic chemistry. So let us start. So what is an alkanol? We say an alkanol is an organic molecule with a hydroxide group. Okay. So the general formula is CnH2n plus 1 OH, where N is a number starting from 1, 2, 3. Okay. So how do you write, or what are some of the members of these alkanols that we're talking about? So you are going to take the members or the homologous. You remember the homologous series, yeah? We talked about the members in the homologous series. We talked about ethane, we talked about methane, we talked about propane, butane, octane. So for you to form an alkanol, what do? You're going to take your alkane. You remember the alkanes? So you're going to take your alkane and then you're going to replace one hydrogen atom with an OH group. Okay, so for example, let us talk about something like methane. So methane is the first member in alkanes, or in the homologous series of alkanes. So the formula of methane, how do you write methane? Methane is written as CH4. Okay, so if you want to form methanol, if you want to form methanol, you're going to take one hydrogen atom of your methane and you're going to replace it with an hydroxyl group. So this is methane. So methanol, our alcohol, we're saying it's going to be CH. Okay, replace one hydrogen atom with an hydroxyl group, so it's going to be CH3. We've removed one hydrogen atom, okay, and we've kept our OH like that. Now the other, so that is how you form alkanols. So if we talk about ethane, the formula is C2H6. So ethanol, are we going to write ethanol? Ethanol is going to be C2, correct? Yes, H5OH, because we are going to replace one hydrogen atom with an hydroxyl group. For you to make propanol, how are you going to write it? Yes, so propanol, as our alcohol is going to be C3H7OH. We are replacing one hydrogen atom with a hydroxyl group. Take a hydroxyl group. When you take a hydroxyl group and you replace it with a hydrogen atom, it's what you're calling what? Hydration. When you're talking about hydration, you're simply talking about addition of your hydroxide ion from your water molecule. So let us go to classification. So alkanols can be classified into 3 categories, and the classification is based on the position of our hydroxyl group. Classification of alkanols, they are classified based on where the position of the hydroxyl group is. So we have primary alkanols, secondary alkanols, and tertiary alkanols. So I have written 1 and like a prime there, the 0. So this stands for primary alkanols, secondary and tertiary alkanols. So what are primary alkanols? Primary alkanols are those alkanols or those alcohols where the hydroxyl group is attached to a carbon atom, which is again attached to 2 hydrogen atoms. So the hydroxyl group is attached to a carbon atom that is surrounded by 2 hydrogen atoms. So let us do an example for easy and better understanding. So for example, let us talk about propanol. So the formula of propanol, we said it is propane. Remember, propane in the alkanes is number 3 in its homologous series. So we're talking about propanol. Propanol is number 3 in the homologous series. So its formula is C3H8. So let us write the primary. Let us show the examples of these primary alcohols using propane or propanol. So the first one is going to be, so this is propane. So our propanol is going to be propanol. It's going to be C3. H7OH. So the formula, if you're writing the general formula, we have 3 carbon atoms, okay? And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hydrogen atoms, and then we are going to have our hydroxyl ions there. So this is a primary alcohol. This is a primary alkanol. As you can see, we have the hydroxyl group attached to a carbon atom, which is attached to 2 hydrogen what? 2 hydrogen atoms. When you talk about secondary alkanols, these are alkanols whose the hydroxyl group is attached to a carbon atom with only 1 hydrogen atom. So we are still going to use propanol for our example. So we have the hydrogen there, hydrogen, hydrogen. We have that one there, that one there, and that one there. And then we have our hydrogen there, and we are going to have our hydroxyl group there. As you can see, we have the hydroxyl group attached to a carbon atom which is again attached to 1 hydrogen atom. So that is our secondary alkanol. Now when you go to tertiary alkanol, we are saying this is an alkanol whose hydroxyl group is attached to carbon atoms with no hydrogen atoms but a methyl group. So for tertiary, the hydroxyl group is attached to a carbon atom which is attached to a methyl group. Still using propanol for our example. So that is our propanol. That is hydrogen, hydrogen, hydrogen. We have So here we are going to write our methyl group, CH3, okay? And then here we are going to write our hydroxyl group. Here we are going to have our hydrogen, hydrogen, and down there we're having our hydrogen. So this is a tertiary alkanol. As you can see, you have the hydroxyl group attached to a carbon atom, which is again attached to what? To a methyl group. So those are the classifications of alkanols.